Please welcome Oleksii Rohalskyi. He's the QA team lead at Pushka Studios, and today he will be talking about QA in GameDev and how to build outsource processes, hire the right people, and successfully release projects. Hi, Oleksii, can you hear me?
Hi, yeah, I hear you
Cool.
well.
Cool. If you're ready, you can start right away.
Yeah,
Share your presentation so that I could also forward it to the screen.
I will share my screen if I can.
Let's see. Yeah, it has to work.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, I think we can
Yeah,
start.
you can start right away. Yeah, good luck.
Okay, thanks. In my speech, I will tell you about QA in game dev from my experience and how to build outsource processes, hire the right people, and successfully release projects. So, a little information about me. My name is Oleksii. I'm team lead from QA team from Ukraine, Pushka Studios. I started in quality control since 2017. Started from software and hardware testing in TV products. From 2011, I managing teams and also have some experience in customer experience, which helped me in quality control. In game dev, I'm since 2022, and below some information about my favorite consoles and games. Maybe someone will be interested in that. Um, what I will talk about today is game dev outsourcing specifics. After working in product company, here is a remark that product, from my point of view, is in-house development. I will talk about how to manage a team that was formed before team lead started, some challenges in creating of new processes, implementation of new approaches and task setting styles, also how to analyze team productivity and effectiveness, and overall the project delivery and post support. Also some learning from mistakes and ways to grow your team and documentation. Some information about our studio. We specialize in porting and code development on Unreal Engine and Unity engines. Especially our QA team is specialized in functional testing and adaptation for certification. And we're doing our own game by little steps. Yeah, that's our last year achievements. I think most known project from our portfolio is the port of Postal 4 to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, with all of the additional optimization along with control and UI UX adaptation for gamepad. And beneath are also very interesting games to play that we're worked on. So let's move to the main topic. First challenges, outsource after the product and game dev after television. So I will talk about the QA team structure after the product work. In outsource, now it's several projects, and you need to divide this your team into sub teams with separate project leads. So there is a single player project in game dev for which from 2 to 3 testers can be enough for testing, and there are multiplayer ones that require from 5 to 6 testers on a project. Although we practice flexibility in teams, there is still a core of testers who most of their time are bound to one project until its completion. And usually sub-teams for projects are formed based on the middle and senior testers and their experience of various platforms on which the game will be released. On the second priority, I allocate my testers based on soft skills, how people match each other, characters for productive cooperation. And another important criteria is the people self development. So testers who have not yet had testing experience in PlayStation, Switch, or Xbox will be preferentially involved in the projects with this platform. So overall, it is necessary to divide into sub-teams with a separate project lead for each team. And the goal is to split the workload, communications, and the areas of responsibility. Next one, we have the cooperation and communication with external teams, original developer, publisher, and how to build mutual understanding with part-time external teams, and how not to go crazy from amount of shared bugs. So there is a separation into features that are designed by the original developer and designed by your in-house game designer. Let's talk about the original developer. So the game mechanics that you need to port are designed by him. Often there is no separate wiki with technical documentation on how one or another feature must work. So therefore, it is in your best interest to perform exploratory testing on the initial PC prototype, determine the expected result, and set up the high quality dialogue with the original developer. You need to ask questions, show original bugs, and overall be interested in future coming features that may affect existing ones and possibly will impact the porting process. There is also an external QA team from the publisher side, which will also test the game. They had their own vision of the expected result on some mechanics, and often their functional testings and bugs do not intersect with ours, but sometimes certification tickets are the place where it's getting hot. My conclusion was to methodically and with the cool head to process all this baggage of work, and where it's needed to transfer necessary bugs to fix. Where the relevance of bugs is in question, to start a reasonable dialogue, the goal of which is not to add an extra work for your developer, and to explain that most likely the bug will not affect the certification and it's not a blocker. Also, it is important not to get confused between your bugs and those that was created by the external QA team. So I suggest everyone to link them, keep the status, steps, and attachments up to date. Certification, aka compliance. In the first place, team lead should understand, not know every detail. It's necessary to document your past mistakes and just to say bye to your perfectionism. So for everyone that's certification is the process of passing tests by the platform holder for the compliance of your game with their requirements. How the game interacts with the player within the system, it's all about the saves, invites, profile interactions, and etc. So every platform has their own features, and it's impossible to know everything perfectly. So my perfectionist who wants to know everything died here in my start of game dev career. Therefore, the conclusion was that it is necessary to understand the general foundations and principles of one or another system, and the details of your project should be already known by the project lead or senior, and the middle and juniors should learn it methodically. So the team should be prepared, team lead should be prepared to the fact that in most technical questions, the testers will be more experienced than him. But the task of the leader is to give space and direct the vector for his teammates' self-development. Another interesting thing is that not all testers of the not all the tests of the requirements, you will find all the info of what you may be needed to game where you're porting. Some of the details are in separate links to divided articles, and some can be gathered from the experience altogether. So therefore, it is important to document such cases and prevent their occurrence in the future with timely tests. So next topic is how not to burn out on the start. So the first thing you need to do is observe and analyze. I face myself with trying to walk in shoes of testers who I'm leading for some time. That gives leader a sense of resources capacity and helps in further estimation. Um, so yes, the very first task I gave myself to understand the existing processes and approaches in order to restart them afterwards and implement new ones with better quality and transparency. For this task, it was necessary to participate in testing by myself for a month or two. Uh, and in that way, it becomes known how much time and on what tasks it spent on average by the tester. Another point is to show new things through your own example. And until you show it, no one will understand neither your intentions nor the process itself. So when a space for new processes is done, you need to be ready for resistance at your ideas in the very beginning. And the people will say, is there a need to do anything new? We worked somehow before and no one died. You have an argument for all this by your direct example. When leader shows that he's using a new tool or approach, and in result it has a good impact on workflow, then your team will trust you. Next point is explain why it's important. Sometimes it's not obvious to everyone why it is like so from now and not as before. Sometimes it's not enough to give your own example, so it's still necessary to explain and even spoon feed why it should be this way and not otherwise. People's understanding comes after you make things more clear to them individually. And the last point here, don't pull the oil on the globe. If it doesn't go well, it probably won't get better, and don't interfere with the already moving car. So there is a saying, don't pull the oil on the globe. And the meaning is that sometimes it's better not to force things off. If the explanations do not help, and you need to think about the suitability of your implementation decision. Maybe someday in the future there will be time and space to give this opportunity another chance. But the most critical is to remember that your task as a leader is not to interfere with already moving car, and to improve it as painless as possible on the go. Let's move to another theme here. It's changes needed and why it's useful. So testers need to have a separate QA Jira space and additional status fields in project space. It's all about the convenience, optimization of communications, and whole overview. So I practiced this even before GameDev and consider it necessary everywhere. Your team needs a separate space for its own task tracking. Testing tasks will not always be on the project main Jira board where the PMs and developers work. So testing tasks will not always be as detailed as you can do it in your own space. It also solves a problem where the team members does not understand who from their teammates working on what project. I stick to the point of view that such approach is an important part of high quality delegation of tasks and overall overview of the workload on the project, as well as keeping historical records for the retrospective. Regarding the additional fields and statuses in the main project board. On the basis of many misunderstandings in communications, my conclusions were to make the separate status in the project Jira. that will highlight what is currently in tests by QA team, and also who is testing this or another task. Here is the picture with testing board and testing status, and QA assign well. So let's move to topic why writing gameplay tests when porting is still useful and often even necessary. It's all about the connections between game and system. It would seem that you have the original functionality and you are porting it to the console. What can go wrong? But the console has its own system in which there are various menus, interfaces, and etc. So many game mechanics will interact with the system functionality. Let's say in your game there is an opportunity to rename some inscription, and especially if the game has network multiplayer, it is more likely that you will need to make a filter for offensive words, so profanity filter. It's just an example of how the gameplay tests intersects with the certification tests. So I think it's worth building connections between them. Another topic is historical data of your test runs and why it is better to use test management system instead of Excel or Google Sheets. It's all about the structure and reporting. I totally understand that the Excel and Google Sheets are cool and convenient tools, but not when we're talking about specifics of QA tasks. For running tests, there are specialized tools that allow you to conveniently and without using additional times to maintain Excel tables to qualitatively conduct the process of documenting your features, perform tests, and make analytics on time. Also, to track the effort costs, and it's even important to have the reporting and historical data. I think we can say that we can be honest that Google Sheets interface in terms of structure of the historically of work with certain documents is very hard to maintain. So we're also talking about such cool thing as reporting in test management system, where it can be done to Slack or email, and you can see when and by whom the test started and what are current results. So there is no need to look up and waste time in table once again from team leader. And there are even cases where the worst cases where your intern could just broke your formula in Excel and you need to fix it manually. So test management system is the best way to do it. Another insight to make universal soldiers, it's all about the risk management. I mentioned it a little in a paragraph about development of testers. It is one of the insights I've got in GameDev. It can be applied everywhere. Maybe it doesn't quite sound quite right, but you need interchangeable people, because when someone gets sick or goes on day off or vacation or even gets fired, you need an equally experienced replacement as soon as possible and without damage to the project, and preferably someone from your team. This all about the risk management. The project from which you removing the person should have less risks from the work process, and the project one you put this person on, is more risks. Another topic is GameDev specifics. The first one is lack of documentation or its insufficient filling. The whole certification change of mindset from we're playing the game to we're porting the application in terms of platform compliance. and overall the game complexity, how to test the sandbox. So let's say you have a business analytic in the product company, and all the documentation is in-house, but it's more difficult in outsource. You cannot extort documentation from the customer and not perform any test until documentation is provided. The solution here is exploratory testing. You need to make some basis of test cases so the game can be passed, and just to complete the main tasks. And then you change the mindset from we are playing the game to feature porting, and we testing how it would work within the system. The good example is the sandbox game in which there is no plot. So the solution here is to write tests about navigation and controls, but not about how to chop trees and dig wood. Another topic is Red Cross and first aid kits in GameDev. So there is one platform on which displaying the Red Cross sign is prohibited. Information for it was in the link to another article in the DevNet. So we made mistakes a couple of times when the issue was not addressed on the time. The game contained some items with the graphic sign. So in the end, the issue was reported by CertOps team, and we were forced to get back and redo these signs. So the conclusion here is to learn from mistakes. Documentation is not only the copy-paste of requirements, it's also retrospective conclusions. And the last one is DevNets are closed by NDA, and there are sadly no examples on the network. So you need to working on your experience. If you're talking specifically about GameDev with importing, the dev sources are closed, and you will have to learn this from scratch when you switch into GameDev. If you're a leader, I can give you the advice that I mentioned earlier. You need to understand the basic principles, but don't know every detail. It's more important here is how well you can process the past experience and avoid making new mistakes. You need to rely on people and own experience. It's most important to document and use it in future. Another topic is analysis of team performance and effectiveness. The first one is coverage of test scenarios. I propose to analyze it by a review process, and it's required here. If the team leader have not enough time, you can delegate it to project lead, where they will review the test cases from juniors and even middles. Second one is correspondence of test runs results to process tasks and bugs in Jira. So lead needs to understand whether the rules that was said before in workflow are followed. If they following that, it's okay. And if they are not following, you need to interfere here. So the next one is comparison of the estimate to the actual task execution time. So we estimate based on previous experience, then we perform again. And in the end, we compare the results and strive for the smallest difference possible. Next one is how many bugs were found by external QA and by the end player that were missed. So we need to compare the results, how much bugs there was not found by us, and we're making a retrospective, and we're documenting the mistakes and make our conclusions how to move more qualitatively after. The next topic is hiring and project allocation principles. The first one is we changed the approach from we hire testers to we hire gamers in the first place. So the second approach about gamers turned out to be more effective because you can teach a gamer about quality assurance, but you can't teach a QA tester about gaming. So the gamer's expertise in games is much qualitatively in work than knowledge about testing. Um, Next one is cover letters and gaming expertise. In our interviews, it's before interview, it's worth analyzing the spectrum of gaming expertise of candidate. So his numbers of hours in games, quantity of achievement unlocked, and etc. Um, then it's the interview stage. We have questions about cloud saves, patches, etc. And these questions are without the correct answer. These are logical questions, and the main idea is to how the person is interested, how features work in the final product. So we can say, and we can analyze the people's, I would say, Steam, Epic Games, PlayStation, Xbox, how they have their opportunity with it. The next one is emotional intelligence, and the people that you hire must be on the same wave for effective teamwork. It's all about the friendly communication and understanding, and you want to hire the right people, so so the teamwork will be greater in the end. And the last one is the release, patches, and possible burnout. Uh, the first one is to focus on the project that is near the deadline for certification. My advice is to prioritize. So there are those priorities that can be delegated to the project leaders, and there are some priorities that can and should be focused by yourself, by the team leader. Second one about patches, that the project is not completed, it's just postponed until the patch. And again, it's about the flexibility and risk management. So the team leader should be always prepared for the fact that one of the testers of the project that we have already released will theoretically have to be removed for the patch test on another project. So accordingly, the person on the project from which you are removing the person should be replaced by a newbie, let's say intern or junior, who will be able to learn something new or finally try his skills in practice. So yeah, I think that's all from my side. Maybe some questions, I can answer them. And yeah, stand with Ukraine.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the talk. Yeah, I think we already have a few questions for you. So yeah, the first one is like related to the previous slide. How do you try to avoid the burnout inside your team or just for yourself? Are there any tips for QA teams specifically?
Vacations. Vacations, especially in summer. People need to rest, and yeah.
And
Vacations.
if you have like a lot of projects going on and they're like all burning and there is no chance for people to take vacations, maybe some like more practical tips or recommendations. Uh, Maybe you have some secrets for it.
Yeah, it's all about the priority. prioritization, where the project is on the deadline for the certification and people are burning out. Maybe we could swap teams in the project. So the team that works on the project that in what deadline is far away, they can join the project from another perspective, and maybe even find some new bugs that were not found by the team who burning out. And yeah, it's all about the priorities they're switching, and maybe yeah, prioritizing, I think.
Okay, cool. And you've mentioned it a little bit in the beginning of your talk, but how do you make sure that your own and the external QA team from publisher, for example, how do you make sure that the visions of both these teams coincide? And if not, how do you avoid the conflict of, well, not interest, but division between those two teams?
Yeah, it's all about the communication. So we have Discord chats with our external QA teams, and the main idea is to set up the best communication that is possible to avoid these misunderstandings. And another tip is to like work in one space where we like point to just one source. It's DevNet for porting, and we communicate in just in, let's say, one topic, and not switching to other topics. So yeah, it's communication in Discord. In some teams are in Slack, some in Google Chats. The better the communication, the less misunderstandings will be.
And in your experience, were there any cases when you had really struggled to maintain proper communication with the external team? Maybe they weren't like very active in the chats, or maybe they were I don't know, just dropping off the conversations or whatever. Like, were there such cases in your experience? And was it eventually successful for you to properly set it up in the end?
Yeah, I think there was a couple of these cases, and the next step is if you can direct successfully with the external QA team, the next step is to evaluate these questions to project manager. And when sometimes even project manager can't handle it, you direct it to your CEO or CTO. So maybe they have their own magical words to make this conversation better.
Okay, got it. Thanks. Okay, another question is how do the QA lead analyze the team's performance and effectiveness, and what metrics or methods are used for this purpose?
We don't have any like specific numbers or metrics. I mentioned the analyzing in this. Yeah, that's the coverage of test scenarios and the main review process from the project leaders. Sometimes I analyze the for point how many bugs were found by external team, and if there are many, there I'm questioning myself why we don't found this just in time. So yeah, that's the core of our performance and effectiveness analyzers. I think I'm in process of making more clear KPIs. Maybe it would help to people better understand their performance. But it's a huge work for KPI. For now, it's just like these 4 points.
Okay, got it. Thanks a lot. Well, I think we have run out of questions, but yeah, if you want, you can share your contact information, and so that people could reach out to you and maybe ask something else. Yeah, but yeah, and we are like we still have like a lot of time left. So thanks a lot for an interesting talk, and
Yeah, thanks.
yeah, enjoy the rest of the conference, and we would love to hear back from you soon.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good day. Bye.
Yeah, you too. Bye.